Mr. Bone?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Roll call.
Ms. Rossi?
Here.
Ms. Hanson? Here. Ms. Roebuck?
Here.
Mr. Talmadge?
And we also have in the audience Dwayne Booth. Dwayne, welcome. And Vic Donahue, welcome. And Joyce Hewitt. Thank you, and we appreciate your being here ahead of the meetings when you will be on the board. And thank you for agreeing to serve. At this time, I have the presentation and approval of the minutes of the meeting held August 21st. You have that in your packet. The only change that I saw was that it is Elizabeth Roebuck. And I think she was Elizabeth Roebuck when we had the last meeting. Are there any other changes or corrections? Do we have a motion to approve?
Yeah, a motion to approve the minutes.
Do we have a second? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Now, we have the request for, we've had the request for funding at the last meeting. Are there any additional requests for funding at this meeting? Seeing none. Pat, would you like to start with the budget? Do we have to?
We have to do the recitation for the record first.
We have to do that first, okay. The recitation for the record, the name of the taxing authority, the rollback rate, the percentage of decrease over the rollback rate, and the millage rate to be levied.
The name of the taxing authority is the North Lake County Hospital District. The rollback rate is 0.9841. The percentage is actually an increase over the rollback rate, and the millage rate to be levied is 1.0 mils.
Okay.
Then we move to the resolutions.
The reading, and do we have a motion to waiver the reading of the entire proposed resolutions?
Motion to waive the reading of the resolution.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And now for the reading of the resolution titles.
Resolution 2014-01, resolution of the North Lake County Hospital District providing for the adoption of the millage rate for the 2014-2015 fiscal year.
Okay. And we will have the public hearing to set the millage rate for the just read resolution. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And what do we need to do at this point?
I think at this point, what you proposed and what was advertised through the property appraiser is staying with the 1 mil.
1 mil.
And the budget scenario, so you need to pass your millage, and then we can assess the actual budget.
Okay. Okay.
So, I guess at this point, if there's public.
We have the 1 mil that was advertised, and the rollback rate is 0.9841, which would be a reduction. Millage at 1 mil would be an actual increase in the dollars. So is there any discussion as to thoughts on whether to do the rollback rate or the 1 mil which is advertised? You have the budget scenario you have before you. I don't know whether we want to put this on the overhead or not.
There's the copies out there, and then most.
So you everybody has copies already, or they're there.
Or they were emailed earlier.
Everybody has them. If anybody wants one,
Are you in public hearings on the millage rate?
we will have the public hearing on that. Okay, if there are no comments from the board, then we'll open it for public comment.
All right.
Vance Yoakum, I write fiscalrangers.com, a blog on fiscal issues. And what would be one of these hearings without somebody saying, roll it back, roll it back? Although I know that there isn't probably a lot of sentiment for doing that. I would like to point out, though, that the South Lake County Hospital District did post their ad, and they are rolling back. Their millage rate now is .7633. So they have a maximum of 1 mil, I believe, and yet they, in the past, have been at 0.8, and now they're 0.76. And I would suggest that that might be retained, you know, when you're thinking about going for a renewal on this millage rate, is that the other agency that's in this county has seen fit to reduce that overall amount because they're getting more cash anyway. Thank you.
And I appreciate the comment. We probably have somebody that would like to respond. There is quite a bit of difference between North Lake and South Lake.
Phil Brown with Central Board of Lines. I mean, I'm not going to stand up here and say you shouldn't roll back. I think, you know, it's important for the hospitals and the clinics. If we, you know, the hospitals, I think have made it clear that the matching is very important. I think it's also important for the community. And we also have clinics that we want to support. And I guess, so, you know, while rolling back, that South Lake has that flexibility because South Lake is a one hospital tax district, no clinics, no requirement to bill a certain amount of care to get their money. It's all going, as Vance likes to used to bring the Disney bag, it's all going in their Disney bag, and South Lake gets it. So I think very apples and oranges, and so I encourage you to do what you feel the needs that have been presented. I think show clearly that I think it'd take almost 2 mil to cover all the needs, but understanding that I don't want to speak for the other hospital, but for Leesburg, we need the matching. So if you can still fund clinics and roll back, I mean, I think we would be just as happy with that as well.
Thank you for your comments, Bill. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this issue? Of the actual millage rate, setting of the millage rate. Anyone else? The comments from the board? Obviously, the needs, as was pointed out by Mr. Braun, the needs that were presented to us last month are significantly higher than the amount of dollars that we will be bringing in from the hospitals and the clinics.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion. I'd like to just reflect some of my notes.
Actually, before we have a motion, if there's any discussion, because we'll need to close the public comment. If there is no other public comment, we'll close it and leave the discussion to the board and the motion.
We took testimony at there was presentations by the hospitals and the clinics at the last meeting, and to summarize, I think that everyone, the hospitals and the clinics, they all spoke as to not only the need that they have had, but an increased need that they continue to have, and seeing increases of charity care and indigent care that they've been providing, and just some of the notes that I made, you know, that LRMC had indicated that they had seen an increase in charity care of 92% from 2009 till 2014, and that they were $337,000 over budget. I think that they're $337,000 over budget on their indigent care numbers. Waterman had indicated as well that they had. I apologize. This is the third time I've turned my phone on. Waterman had indicated that they had Medicaid and uninsured increases in 2013 and 14, and anticipated those to continue to increase. Live stream, they had stated that they were drowning, that there was an increase in need in children's beds as well, their facility. The community medical center had a 10%, they said that 10% of the people have no medical assistance at all. Florida Waterman Hospital, the community clinic, anticipated a 10% increase of growth. And those were just some of my notes, but I think those similar statements were echoed by all of the clinics in the hospital. And there was also some things brought up about Obamacare and Florida not electing to take the additional monies, and so that there could be even a further need for people, as right now as things stand, that there may be even a further need for medical assistance for people because Florida is currently not accepting those funds, and that we may lose the LIP funds as well. This might be the last year for the LIP funds. And so based on the presentations that were made by everyone, I believe that there's a demonstration that there continues to be a tremendous need for the hospitals and the clinics to have assistance and with indigent care. I think that it's very important for our community to continue to provide for the indigent when we have the ability to do it. In 2 years, this will come up for a vote whether to continue to have this ability to impose this tax for this purpose, but right now it's there, and the need is clearly there. And I believe that the citizens of Lake County, when we have the ability to assist them with that we should, and that's our responsibility as board members to do that. That's why we're here. So I would make a motion that we do impose the 1 mil for the upcoming year.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I second that.
Is there further discussion for the board? My comment would be that this would allow us to provide more dollars to the clinics, particularly, and they are in desperate need, as we've heard last month. The need, of course, is anticipated to increase in the clinics and the indigent needs. So,
Is the budget that or the schedule that we received based on the 1 mil or the rollback rate?
we had both presented to us, and Pat, you want to clarify?
Are you talking about the funding worksheet?
Yeah.
It's the suggested funding column is for the 1 mil.
Okay.
And then you see the numbers below. There's that much money that could be allocated to the hospital. And then if you do the rollback rate, you can do the suggested funding, and then you see the small $20,000 amounts. That's all that would be left to go additional. Okay?
Does everybody understand? Okay, we have the motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Show Mrs. Grossi voting against. Okay. Then the next, so we'll be at the 1 mil, which has been advertised. And the next item is resolution 2014-2.
Motion to waive the reading.
Waive the reading. Is there a second to waive the reading? All in favor of that motion, say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Resolution number 2014-02, resolution of the North Lake County Hospital District providing for the adoption of the proposed budget for the 2014-2015 fiscal year.
Okay. We'll open the public comment for anyone that would like to speak on this resolution. Seeing none, we
You
will,
want some explanation on the numbers?
that would be, okay.
Okay. So now we're working on the budget scenario in the 1 mil column. And so what that worksheet shows you is the current year budget, actual through the day I was able to prepare it, best guess of bills to come in. So when you look at the budget, your ad valorem is 95% of the taxable value times 1 mil. And then, as you can see, interest has really dropped off, so I reduced that amount dramatically from the prior year. The accounting and auditing number, we have 5 quarters of the compliance in there this year because of the late start. Next year we'll just have 4. So that's why that number is less than this year's actual. The property appraiser fees, they send a letter out, tell you what your portion's going to be. The tax collector is 2% of collections. And then insurance will have 3 people to bond this year. And the others are just pretty much just in line with what's happening. Then the medical care is based off the funding agreement. I mean, not agreements, but that worksheet. And then, of course, the credits, the 224,556 for Waterman and the 405,799 for Leesburg, were part of this year's budget and letters of agreement. The state has just postponed sending the letter up. And we will have a separate LIP agreement for those 2 amounts, just like we did this year for the prior year credits. So do you have any questions on where the numbers came from?
With that in mind, is there anyone in the public that would like to speak on the information that Pat has submitted? Okay, we'll close that part of the public hearing and comments from the board.
I have some questions. There was some conversation at the last meeting about the LIP funding, that there were some minimum amounts that were going to be required in order for Florida Waterman and LRMC to qualify for those. It was less than, the amounts were less than what was being requested, but it was represented that those were minimum amounts that were going to be required. Is that?
I think you're referring to the calculations for the LIP 6, which is the calculations that the state came up with. In previous years, that was actually in some way a remittance payment. Now it's a quarterly payment, so I think there's a lot less flexibility with that payment. But what they submit the letters of agreement, and to get the full match, you submit that amount of money. There would be a less match, I guess, if you submitted less. But I think that's reflected in the budget. Those are the numbers. The numbers that are on the sheet I looked at are the numbers necessary. Now, I wasn't sure if that does include the credit that's up in Tallahassee for, okay. But that's the numbers that the worksheet comes up to from the, you have copies, I think.
Yes, Trevor's section number
Yeah,
12.
if you'll look in the back of the LIP 6 agreements, there's a spreadsheet. And that's again done by the state. Fran might be better off answering how they calculate that. But, yeah, it's based on days, Medicaid days, other stuff.
Yeah, it's based on your project.
But I think the question is, what is in this funding is the LIP agreement numbers. That's their concern. You are getting, in the funding worksheet is the amount of the LIP agreements. Okay.
Are there any other questions? Is there anything, other clarification, Pat, that you would like to make?
No, the only thing I would suggest is Whoever makes the motion to adopt the budget, remember we adopt a budget at the fund level. So you're looking at the total of expenses and carry forward of the $9,344,549.
Okay. Is everyone on board? Okay. So are you ready to have a motion to adopt the resolution 2014-02, the adoption of the budget at the fund level? Do you have a motion?
I make a motion to adopt the budget at the fund level.
And do we have a second? Is there any further discussion forward?
Spending well.
Okay, the motion is, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries, unanimous. Motion is unanimous. At this time, the public hearings would be closed, right? On those, right, on those two resolutions. And I was remiss in not recognizing Ken Carpenter for being here. It seems to be going a lot smoother with after your leadership. So thank you very much. Okay. The next item is we need board action. Need a separate motion to adopt the tentative millage rate by separate vote. Or Resolution 2014-01, which set the millage rate. Is that right? We've already done that. Yeah, okay. Maybe I did it out of order.
That's okay. And we've also done the budget,
So we've done both of those items.
Now
Okay.
there's the letters of agreement.
Okay, we have the letters of agreement with the state of Florida through the Agency of Healthcare Administration. We have Leesburg Regional, Low Income Pool 6, letter of agreement. Florida Hospital Waterman, Low Income Pool 6, letter of agreement. Florida Hospital Waterman, Low Income Pool disproportionate share, hospital/statewide issues, letter of agreement, $224,567. And Leesburg Regional Medical Center, Low Income Pool disproportionate share, hospital statewide issues, letter of agreement, $405,799.
I can tell you too, the letters, the first two letters of agreement are the LIP letters that they've discussed before. The other two are the amounts that we did not send this year.
Okay.
So it's much easier for me to track when they're separate letters of agreement, because then we can follow those dollars. That's why there's four
There's
agreements.
surplus funds. Yes.
Okay. Is there, I assume the affected parties have seen the letters and are in agreement. So, and is there any comment from the public? If not, is there any discussion with the board on these four items, four letters of agreement?
Is there anything significantly different between these and the ones prior years?
Just the dollar amounts. And just note, please, in both the two letters of agreement, the list 6 as in previous years, it says not to exceed this amount. So if the funds are not there, you obviously can't fund them. But that's the amount, up to that amount, like at Leesburg Regional, is $3,249,984.
Very important point. Okay, do we have a motion? Do we need a motion to approve these letters? Okay.
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
we have a motion to approve the letters? Is there a second?
Yes, second, please.
Kim, do you need each one of them, or?
If the board wishes to do each one of them separate, if they feel that there's some question on any of them, or if they want to do it as a blanket, either way, it's the board's preference.
I think we're fine with doing them all in a bundle.
Okay, so if that's the case, do we have a motion to approve the 4 letters? We have a motion, is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. So we will sign those letters tonight. And is there any other matter to come before the board?
I've got a couple of items. One being that with the suggested funding, as you saw on that worksheet, there will be an additional $104,000 that can go to Waterman and $82,000 to Leesburg. Because the way it fell out on your,
That's number 14A on your agenda.
okay.
Okay.
The hospitals need to decide if they want to try to get with the state and arrange for another LIP for those funds, or do they just want to be, as we have the money available, pay them. Perhaps the board could just give your chairman the authority to sign a LIP agreement. I mean, Leesburg may decide they want to approach the state and do another LIP. Waterman may not. I just don't want to have a whole meeting on a LIP if it works for them or not. Either way, this money's, that's where it's going. So if you can just give your chairman the authority to do additional LIP up to those amounts if the hospitals deem it's in their best interest.
104,000 for Waterman and 82,000 for Leesburg.
Yes. Now, Waterman's, just say, for the additional funds, so we don't have to try to, if it doesn't work through, or they find out just before October that we need to do this, then your chairman would have the authority to go ahead and sign them.
Okay, do we have a motion allowing me to do that? Whatever funds they are, then I would have the ability to go ahead and sign the letter of agreement for those 2 hospitals.
State
I
and
don't need a
such,
motion.
yeah, I'll agree with that, to allow you to have the authority to designate them as such and work with hospitals to facilitate that.
Do we have a second? Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
I have one other matter, and that is, I'll know for sure next week, but it looks like we're going to have between $350,000, $370,000 of additional funds to disperse. So we'll have a budget amendment next week. This is my thoughts, and y'all give me some direction so I'll know what to do. The claims submitted this year were, as you saw last time off your compliance audit, a total of $10,223,623. So what I did was look at what percentage each clinic, each hospital had of that $10 million. So the Community Health Center had 1%, Community Medical Care had 4%, Waterman Primary 2%, St. Luke's 1%, Lifestream Care 1%, Lifestream 6%, Waterman 47%, LRMC 38%. So if you want to take, if I have $350,000 and allocate it on those percentages, or just give me some guidance so that next week when I come in with a true budget amendment to vote on, I'll know how you want to kind of move that money around. Am I making myself clear of how I was?
Not really. Are you saying you want to break up percentage-wise the same as what we've already designated?
No.
You're saying what?
I did it on claims submitted.
Okay.
So then you're actually compensating for people and services rendered, not, because here again, this year we only had $8 million of 3 to fund, and we've had $10,223,000 of claims submitted. So I worked off the $10 million. So their percentage of the the 10 million.
Seems reasonable to me.
Okay, are there any questions? Does everybody understand?
So, two questions. So, and I apologize if I missed something. So there's an additional $370K that was not previously accounted for, and where is that coming from?
Well, partly it's because when you budget, you're only allowed to budget 95, we budget 95% of the ad valorem, because if everybody pays in November and takes their 4% discount, you've got to be careful. So there was additional money that came in, plus prior year delinquent taxes collections are stepping up. So there's actually more money came in than we anticipated through the budget.
And that's not accounted for in these work.
Correct. And then the other issue is usually the tax collector, after he figures his cost, sends a check back at the end of the year, but we never know if we're going to get anything or not. So we got some additional funds, like 30-something thousand from that last year. So that money is in the bank. As of today, I've got about $1 million in the various bank accounts. The 683.66 that's going to carry forward is the 2 credits plus 50,000 that we always try to carry forward. So that leaves us, depending on the bills that come in this next week and what I anticipate, somewhere between 350, 370,000 to disperse. We'll have to do a budget amendment first,
Okay.
and then we can do it. But I just needed some guidance in how the fairest way was to, and that's what I started with. It's just
So you need the budget amendment. This is the
next week I'll actually bring a budget amendment because I don't know. I've got bills to pay still outstanding.
Okay.
So the idea is that we would distribute it based on percentages that were submitted by each facility last year?
Okay. Does everybody understand? Okay,
And if you've got another approach, let me know, and I can work up some other scenarios so that next week I'll know what the number is, and then here's your choices.
Fran Crump, Florida Hospital Waterman. I went over the numbers really fast, so I might have missed something, but you took each of the various providers and did the percentage. One of my suggestions might be is that you look at it if the claims submitted exceeded the funding that they were allocated, because in some of the cases there wouldn't have been claims to receive that additional distribution. So several of them exceeded their budgeted amount with additional claims, and others didn't reach the budget. Just a suggestion.
that's a good point.
You know, we had only one that did not go over, and so what I could do is just take them out of the mix
Take them out of the mix and then
reallocate.
reallocate.
There's
The community health was supposed to be 110. They submitted 127.
I'm sorry.
Is that right?
Just like you.
Yeah, just Livestream. Their clinic is the only one that did not meet their funding. So I'll just take them, that's 60,000 out of the total, and reallocate.
Good point. Okay, do we have a motion to allocate the 350,000?
Well, I can't do that. I just needed some guidance on what to bring you back next week. I wanted to have it kind of how you wanted it, so that I can just show you, here's the budget amendment, and here's how we can allocate. And sure.
That's fine.
Yes.
Please don't send it back to all.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, the suggestion was that each of us get with Pat for your recommendations on how to allocate those funds.
I will just mention a thought. I mean, I know even the hospitals didn't receive all the funds enough funds to cover what their indigent care was, and just adding up the clinics that did exceed their actual exceeded what they were budgeted. And I had to turn my phone off because I don't know why it keeps going off. I apologize again. So I couldn't calculate it with my calculator, but I think there's about that they were underfunded about $233,000, but I might be wrong on that. So I do have a thought about whether to take that extra and first fund them with that money, and that would leave about $140,000 for the hospitals. Just a thought, whether to do it that way rather than on the percentages. So I think that is one of the intended desires of this process, is to assist the clinics and make them more available to the indigent.
Yeah, if you were going to make the clinics whole, it'd be about $235,000. Which,
I know we're not making that decision, but that's just a thought on that.
so what I'll do is I'll do a scenario with allocating. I'll do a scenario with make the clinics whole. Okay. Any other?
And then you'll send that out to each of the board members
Just for information.
for information. Okay. And then we will vote on that as a budget amendment at the next meeting. Okay. Are there any other items, any additional items that anyone would like to discuss at this point?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do another scenario where it's split half and half too? Can you do that where the hospitals take half of that and the clinics are half whole too, so we've got an option of not all or none too? Just so that option's there.
All right. Tell me, where is Livestream a hospital or a clinic?
It's a good question.
Both.
It's a clinic.
Yeah. I've been when I talk about the clinics, I've been leaving Livestream in the mix with LRC and Waterman.
You probably should. I can see that. That's
Okay.
fine. You can continue to do that.
And then I'll do the clinics.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a scenario that we've got one that's not all or nothing for the clinics. It can be halfway.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other suggestions, any other scenarios anyone would like to suggest? If you get one, call Pat.
Yeah, so I want to make sure, so you're talking, if I have the 350,
Right.
then, so what you're looking at then, disperse 175 to the clinics,
Correct.
and based on their claims submitted,
That's correct.
okay? And then 175 to the 3 hospitals based on their claims submitted.
Based on their plans, prorated apportionment, yeah.
Okay.
And then, of course, your first scenario.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll work on that probably Monday and send them out to everybody. So next week, probably on a daily basis, check your North Lake mail, because there will be things coming through to get ready. The budget ads will run in the Lake Sentinel on Monday, so I'll finish those up tonight and get them over to the Sentinel. They should proof them for me tomorrow and have them ready to run Monday.
Okay. So if nothing else that anyone would like to discuss or bring up? One thing I thought of, and it's probably not news to anybody, but when we had the presentation last week, or not, 2 meetings ago, on problems with healthcare and the cost. You know, one of the biggest costs of healthcare is the demand of government and all the regulations and HIPAA and all those things that you can't get around. So you know, and I'm not telling anybody anything they don't already know, but those are some of the driving costs that drive the care, healthcare up so much, and it's gone up significantly over the years, but even more so in the last few years. So, not sure if we can do anything about that. But that further drives the people into the clinics, more and more into the clinics. So we're glad we've got the health care we do have in Lake County, and we're very glad to have clinics, and obviously the need is much greater than the dollars. So if there's nothing else that anyone would like to bring before the board, we will, anything?
Yeah. I gave them, you have a printout of tentative meeting dates, just look them over, and we'll discuss that next week as well.
Okay.
This will be, I think, next week's last meeting for a significant portion of this board, and I'd be curious to see next week what the scenarios, what the hospitals and the clinics or whomever think the scenarios will happen if the lifespan of this board is terminated here in a couple of years. I'm just kind of curious what the scenarios would be like and what they have any idea of what would kind of happen and what they expect. And I know that's kind of out there, but it may be good for public perceptions to understand what possible scenarios could be forthcoming in 2 years should this board not be, this tax not be on. I don't know whether they want to present anything to that to bring it to the knowledge of this board, and whether we could be forthright in the future to think of something like that, but it may be something that may be interesting to perceive and try and see what would actually happen 2 years from now if this board is not in existence.
And we need to have the county, I would think we'd need the county involved with that too, their costs. So I don't know what we could do to get some information from the Community Affairs Department, because that will create a significant impact, I believe, on the county's budget too. Okay, if there's nothing else, we will stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Public input?
Yes, please. I did it on each item, but I didn't do it at the end. Thank you.
Again, Vance Yoakum for the record. Yeah, just some things. One is that I tried to download the 4 documents today off the website, and it was absolutely abysmal. Could not be done. I have heard that at least one person in this group was not able to do that, and you need to test it. You as a board need to start making sure that this website works, because it took me more than 15 minutes, and I used to be a software developer, so I finally found where they were buried. But the main links for the 4 documents are right on the front page, but they don't work. They take you to another place. You all get these documents direct by email. The public, and like I announced this meeting a couple of days ago to a group, and maybe there's people here in the audience that tried to download information from that website. It's out of order, it goes to the wrong tabs, and I know, Ms. Kurtzy, you're an attorney, and you got that dropped on you. But I think the board should make a decision to get somebody who does that for a living and that does it right, because otherwise it reflects on the lack of transparency and the credibility of you as a board. And so I would encourage that maybe you add that to the agenda next week and discuss that issue, because I made a tape of it, and I'm going to put it up on YouTube of how hard it is to figure your way through the system. And that comes from a guy who knows and has developed websites and blogs, and so to me there are things that obviously pop out, but the big one is you got a whole bunch of links in there since May on the front page, and none of them open up the document, a PDF. They open up another view which then doesn't have that document in it. Okay, and so next is in the...
Let me ask you, Van, excuse me.
Yes.
Vance, how long have you known that the website was not functioning?
Well, I thought I would be able to get it easily. I knew that there wouldn't be anything major controversial, so I waited until today to look at that. And normally I look at that beforehand, but then I started looking and there are documents going back to May that don't show up in some of the views, or they don't open up. It seems to have been changed. The links all, instead of going to the actual document, they're going to another view on another tab.
We appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
Okay. And I will send you links to the movie that I made earlier today.
Well, I don't know that I want that.
Well, I'm going to put it up there because this seems to be a constant problem.
That's fine.
And, you know, you need to have somebody that's their job and not try and give it to Meredith, you know, we'll turn her into a programmer. And somebody who will keep an eye on that and find out.
You're absolutely right.
Okay. Next is that the format of the ads, I imagine, are probably dictated by law.
Yes, they are.
So that they don't contain the website, they don't contain a phone number, all they have is the address. It's the same problem that you have. And I don't know whether you can add a line on there, another ad below it then with the contact information. And that's something I've gone around with the tax collector and the property appraiser too. It's a problem in that nobody has a direct link to find where the information is on your meetings. Let's see, the legislative delegation is having their meeting on December 2nd. Representative Larry Metz is on it. I just heard him talk at a meeting this week, and he mentioned that while I was in an email. But I only bring that up that you might put it on your calendar for having a spokesman there, and maybe at next meeting or before that December 2nd meeting, you come up with your own legislative priorities that you can present. I know the hospitals go and they do that. But you as a board, you may have some priorities, and I think you ought to bring those and discuss that at that meeting. And then finally, and this may sound like it's off the subject, but it's really not. There's an Amendment 1 that's on the ballot. It has to do with taking money from documentary stamp collections and revenues. It's about $600 million in the first year, and basically it's a revenue shift. It's taking it away from all the 1/3 of the existing recipients of the documentary taxes, so it's about $1.8 billion a year. And 1/3 of it, if that Amendment 1 passes, it's going to be shifted over to buying public lands and bonding and everything else. Now, so far, I haven't found that there's any direct funding coming out of that goes to your system or the health industry. We're still analyzing that, but what can happen is that education will be shorted. We know affordable housing will be shorted and some other programs, and then they're going to run around scurrying to get money, so that maybe you and Mr. Braun and other representatives here might start watching that and the effects of Amendment 1, because there's going to be a major shift in funding, and it's going to come out of a lot of people's pockets if that gets passed. And that's all I wanted to share today. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Vince. Okay, we will check on the website, and we'll put it on the agenda for next meeting, and discuss what we want to do, because I'm sure whatever we do will cost more money than what we're doing, but we need to look at it, because we do need to be very transparent in everything that we do.
I would just like to point out to the board, while you're seeing multiple advertisements for the meetings, because we have to comply with both the law that affects the board and the trim compliance law. So you will see advertisements yesterday for the meeting, the next meeting, and then Pat will also have one on Monday. So if you're thinking that we're duplicating each other, that's why you're going to see 2 advertisements of the meeting. Just want to clarify that.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Any other public comment? If not, we will adjourn the meeting, and our next meeting is next Thursday at 5:30 here, same place, same time. Thanks.